So in this video, I want to help you realize what is the reason you use your phone so that you can begin to break this addiction that you may have. Because phone addiction is the biggest thing that I've dealt with, one of the biggest things that I dealt with in my life. I dealt with many addictions, but phone addiction was one of the most difficult because we always have our phones. So it's a very difficult addiction to break. You know, I would scroll for hours in bed before I woke up. My screen time was over 10 hours a day. I'm not even kidding. So in this video, I'm going to help you with this. So last week, I went to a meditation center, right? So for 10 days, I was at this meditation center. And basically, the students there, they need food, right? They need people to help them because it's a Vipassana course. So what the students do is for 10 days, no speaking, no technology. And so they need people to cook food for them. So I went there to the center to be one of the cooks. So for 10 days, I was working in the kitchen, cleaning the kitchen, cooking food for them, right? So I was serving on this course. But the very, very interesting thing was I submitted my phone. So for 10 days, I did not use technology at all. My phone was away. I was simply cooking, talking to the people there, doing some work there that was required, and sitting for about 4 to 5 hours of meditation per day. That's it. I had no phone. And you would think that maybe I went crazy without my phone. I would start to feel withdrawals. I would feel like scratching, like, where's my phone? Because before that, I'm always someone who uses my phone. I use my phone all day. I use my phone every day. A lot less than I used to, but I still use my phone. And I do get caught, doom scrolling every now and then. But during this retreat, I didn't feel the urge to use my phone at all. It was like I was living a different life where my phone didn't even exist, right? But here's the interesting thing. The day I got back, I ended up in the afternoon laying on my bed, doom scrolling for 2 hours. First of all, when I pulled out my phone and I started to doom scroll, Instagram it was like candy. Everything was looking so beautiful, so HD, because I hadn't used my phone for 10 days. But I ended up doom scrolling for 2 hours. And the reason I'm telling you this is because breaking our phone addiction is not so simple, right? So I've done a ton of experiments with my phone. I've gone weeks without my phone several times. So in this video, I want to share with you what I think are 2 reasons that we're addicted to our phones and what we can do to begin to break it and why we're so addicted to our phones, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is I'm just theorizing here. I don't know 100% of the science. I know a little bit. I saw on this Andrew Huberman podcast, he said, he's a neuroscientist. He said that using your phone is not really an addiction. It's more like a compulsion. And I think I kind of understand what he's saying. Because I feel like I'm not addicted to the phone. Like I said, I could go to the center and pretty much instantly be away from my phone and be okay. If I'm doing activities, I don't feel the need to use my phone. You might notice this, there are certain situations when you tend to use your phone. For me these days, if I'm, at home, probably in the afternoon, nothing to do, and in my room, I'm much more likely to reach for my phone. When I'm outside, I almost never get the compulsion to use my phone, right? So the first reason that I think we're so addicted to our phones, this is the obvious one. The second one is less obvious, but I think that's the deeper one. But the first one I want to go through this is stimulation. So stimulation, the way to explain, stimulation is a weird thing. Like we always hear like our attention spans are screwed, we're all overstimulated. What does that mean? So I'm going to tell you what this means through an analogy. So I kind of think of it like a fire, right? So how stimulated you are is like a fire. And every time you engage in some sort of stimulating behavior, you eat junk food, you play video games, you watch short form content, you're throwing fuel onto the fire, right? But here's the thing. If you stop throwing fuel onto the fire, you go away from technology for 10 days, you do a dopamine detox, whatever, the fire begins to burn away at the fuel that's already there, and how stimulated you are goes down. And if you starve the fire long enough, your stimulation goes down all the way to 0. So I'm at the point right now where I'm so understimulated that I can't really watch edited videos. Sometimes on YouTube, I watch a video with some editing in it, and it will just be too much stimulation for me. Or look, if I even watch a Mr. Beast video, you know how sometimes you might think, like, if your grandpa if a grandpa watched a Mr. Beast video, he would have a heart attack. I feel like I'm in that situation now. A Mr. Beast video is just so overstimulating for me. A lot of music is very, very stimulating for me as well. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I can't hear this, it's so stimulating. I'm just saying it's like quite intense experience than it used to be for me. I used to like listen to so much intense music. I could scroll in short form all day. So I would say my baseline, right, for how stimulated I am is relatively low at the moment. But I've gone through phases where I got addicted to Instagram. I was scrolling it every day, and that baseline went down, right? So right now my baseline is pretty high. I can like stare at a wall and be pretty satisfied. I don't need stimulation. I can exercise without music. I can go for a walk without music. I can clean my house without music. But if I were to scroll in short form for a while, my stimulation baseline would go down. So the science behind it, I'll explain very quickly. When you do something stimulating, your dopamine goes up, right? Your dopamine goes up. But the thing is, your dopamine comes back down. And when it comes back down crashing. So this is your baseline. Dopamine goes up and dopamine goes down after the stimulating activity. And it actually goes down below baseline, even lower. And so what happens is it comes back to baseline, but now the baseline is lower. So the more stimulating activities you do, the more your dopamine baseline goes down, the more depressed, the more addicted you feel, basically. So the first reason we're so addicted to our phones is we're just addicted to stimulation in general. Because I've noticed there have been times where I put away when I'm in a stimulated mode, when my baseline is very low, I will put my phone away, I'll put something away, and I'll be seeking stimulation, right? I'll be like, maybe I'll be, going onto random websites if I have my computer, or I'll be like trying to eat something, I don't know, but I'll be seeking stimulation because I'm in a stimulation seeking mode. Now, are all the different sources of stimulation connected? Maybe not exactly, but the point I'm trying to make here is you might just be stimulated. So the solution to this is you have to starve the stimulation. Like I said, you have to starve that fire. Like, okay, pardon the gross example, but I thought of this. There's like a tapeworm, right? And a tapeworm, it feeds off the food you eat. So if you stop eating, this tapeworm starts to starve and it starts to die. So how stimulated you are is like a tapeworm and you have to starve it. So the solution is, like they say, a dopamine detox. Not exactly a dopamine detox. You just need to have these chunks in your day where you purposely resist stimulation. So when there is a period of your day where you want to indulge in stimulation, you're craving the stimulation, but you don't cave, you're essentially burning away that fire. It has to be specifically times when you're craving it, right? If you're playing a sport and you don't feel the need to scroll your phone, that's not a good opportunity to burn this craving fire. It needs to be, for example, at night you normally scroll your phone, and instead for 30 minutes you're going to sit there and just journal, or you're going to sit there and you're going to face your wall. Or another big thing that I like to do is eat without your phone. Eat with no technology. That's a good opportunity. So I call this boredom tolerance building. The more you purposely engage in boredom, the more you will gain the strength to resist the urge of your phone, and the less you'll want to use it. So boredom tolerance training is a big one. Meditation is a good way to train boredom tolerance because when you're meditating, you literally observe the boredom come inside you and go away. So I meditate every day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, and that really helps me be able to tolerate boredom. But literally even just sitting there, going for walks, if you normally listen to music while you go for a walk, going for a walk without music will help you build your boredom tolerance. It'll help you reduce the pull, the craving to your phone, right? So that's the first thing I want to mention. It might be really, really stimulating to use your phone. And so going to that course, going to that 10 days, it made me realize that there is a world beyond mobile phones that we just don't know exists. We feel scared to go away from our phones because it feels uncomfortable. It feels scary. Like, oh no, I can't put my phone away for the afternoon. I'm going to miss a call. Oh, something's going to go wrong. I'm going to be so bored. We're scared of the unknown. We're so used to being attached to our phones. But you need to have this courage that what's on the other side, once you burn that fire, once you're no longer connected to your phone, there is actually something beyond it in life, and it can be fine, not scary. Or for example, just a thought experiment. Imagine the majority of humans, right? I think there have been 100 billion humans that have ever existed. Most of them never had a smartphone in their life, and they were fine. They lived fine. Sure, they were still addicted to stimulation. They were still going out there, maybe, doing drugs or whatever. They had their own form of stimulation, don't get me wrong. But the phone, we feel like the phone is our entire world. We're scared to let it go because we're scared what's on the other side. When I went to that 10-day course, my biggest fear was like, oh, what if something happens to me? What if I get an important message and I miss it? I literally run a business. I literally have a YouTube channel. I literally have social media channels. And I had the courage to submit my phone for 10 days. Right? And I've done that a couple times. So definitely there's something beyond. It took a lot of bravery because I was very scared, to be honest, to do it. I was terrified. But there is something beyond mobile phones. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, the second reason why you might be addicted to your phone, I call this the void. Right? This might sound weird, but I didn't know a way to encapsulate it because it's actually many things. But here's the reality. That other day, when I used my phone, right after the 10-day course, I was not stimulated at all. Right? I listened to music on the car ride home, and it was so stimulating. So when I left that course, you could say my dopamine baseline was very high. I was very understimulated. So I wasn't using my phone because I needed stimulation. I was using my phone because I was escaping discomfort. Basically, throughout our day, we will feel these uncomfortable emotions, uncomfortable experiences. Loneliness, boredom, stress, whatever it might be. We'll experience something negative in our life. And the phone is simply what's called a coping mechanism. So when you feel stressed, you want to run away from the stress, right? Because there's this uncomfortable feeling inside you and you want to run away. So when you reach for your phone and you scroll, it's simply a coping mechanism to run away from your stress. For example, why do some people smoke weed after work? Why do some people drink after work? It's because they feel stressed, because they got stressed throughout the day. And doing those drugs, drinking, whatever, is their coping mechanism. It helps them run away from the stress. But here's the thing. It doesn't actually get rid of the stress. This is what you realize. Basically, there's the stress inside you. And when you go to your phone, it gives you a feeling to cover up the stress. But the stress is still there. So what this is called is you're suppressing the stress. You're not actually dealing with it. And so it doesn't actually solve the problem in the long run. And then what ends up happening is you start getting chronically stressed. It starts building up more and more and more, and eventually it might explode out or something, right? So you need to develop tools to be able to handle the stress on your own. You need to deal with it directly. But the point I'm trying to make here is the reason it's so hard to get away from our phone is because we put our phone away and we're face to face with this void that I talked about. We put our phone away and we're face to face with how boring our life is. We're face to face with how we're ashamed at ourselves because we're so behind. We're face to face with how lonely we are because we got no friends or something, right? So these negative emotions that we're supposed to process, we come face to face with them when we put away our phone. So the phone is nothing but a symptom of a deeper underlying issue. This is why these willpower tactics of like downloading certain apps or deleting Instagram, it doesn't work in the long term. Because you do those things, you come face to face with the void, and it gets so uncomfortable that we go back to those apps, we go back to those things. Or here's the thing, you might go to a different coping mechanism, right? So if you've ever tried to quit some addiction, for example, you tried to quit alcohol or something, you'll notice that you try to get to another addiction. You try to fix an addiction by gaining another addiction. This is why many people who are quitting smoking, they take up drinking or something, right? So the void will come and you might go to another addiction, or you might find it very difficult to escape your phone addiction because you want to go back to, because the void is there, right? Your life is so boring, your life is so lonely that you can't handle being without your phone. Your phone helps you run away from that misery. That's why so many people are using their phones these days. And that's why I used that phone the other day. Because I got home back to the city and I was just feeling, I'm not sure why, but I was feeling so like choking, so sort of bored. I don't know how to explain the feeling. I'm not sure what it was. But but I was feeling very uncomfortable. And so unconsciously, I lay on my bed and I started using my phone to run away from it. And then I realized, and then I processed it in the right way. But, you know, it happens, right? It's very difficult. So the phone is not an addiction, like I said. It's a tool we use to run away, because it's so easy to run away with our phones. But like I said, we will always find a way to run away. For example, during that course, when I had nothing to run away to, because I didn't have my phone, we had to submit our phones. There was one time when I was actually sitting the course, I had like a panic attack. I felt very, very panicked. And there was no one I could talk to at the time. So the way I escaped this panic was, first I tried to breathe. I tried to like do breathing exercises to try to distract myself, and that didn't work. So I ended up finding a tree with a bunch of bees flying around, and I stared at the bees because that was like the most stimulation I could get. So I was feeling that uncomfortable feeling. I was feeling that void, so we could say, and I found a way to escape. So those are the two reasons that you might be addicted to scrolling and why you don't actually want to scroll. It's just, it's a symptom of the underlying issue. And look, here's the thing. It's not your fault at the same time. Because this device, this technology, was literally designed by these companies to be very, very addicting. When you start looking at the psychology of these companies, it is so dark. They literally know these algorithms know you better than you know yourself. They see what you're scrolling on Instagram, and they see like, okay, this guy watched this one reel 0.1 seconds longer. We're gonna show him more of that. Like if you go on Instagram, you will notice that it shows you content that you want to see in that moment, right? Maybe you're feeling depressed. It will show you content that will fuel that depression. Maybe you're feeling lustful. It will show you like content that will fuel that lust. So it knows how to keep you on the app, because that's what makes it money. So honestly, it is not your fault that you're addicted to this phone, because these companies have designed this phone to keep you hooked, to keep your attention on them. And look, that might just be the consequences of capitalism, because look, if we ban Instagram, a new app is going to come in its place, Schminstermam, and they're going to use the same tactics. So maybe in a future society, these sort of tactics will be banned, but at least for now, while we have to deal with it, it's very, very difficult. You know, it's very easy to say, oh, just delete Instagram, bro. But, you know, my business is on social media, for example. Maybe we need these apps to talk to each other. It's so difficult to run away from these things. So really the only thing we can control is facing the void head on, breaking our addiction to stimulation. That's why I try to live a completely unstimulated life. I don't have a life where I run away to things. I very rarely drink anymore. I used to drink a lot. Very rarely drink. Don't do any drugs. Don't play video games. Try to eat purely for nutrition. Short form content as little as possible. Don't watch movies or TV shows. And I'm not saying this to flex. I'm not saying this that like I'm such an amazing person, because I've been through the misery of consuming all those things. I've been through the misery of living a super stimulated life, and it was horrible. A life of zero stimulation is, in a weird way, way more fun than a life of constant stimulation. I lived a life where from morning to night, I was just constantly stimulated all day. I had things to do, and it was not satisfying at all. I've lived that life, and I'm so happy that it's behind me. And it's a long journey to actually cut out all those things, but I think it's a way better life in my opinion. I've never had more enjoyment in my life than when I cut out all those things. Because like I said, those things, the only reason we want to do them is because we're running away from what's going on inside us, the void. The uncomfortable feelings that we're feeling, these stimulations help us run away from them. That's why we're so addicted to them. But when you start to actually face the things head on, then you don't need to run away anymore, because you're able to face them. Now, easier said than done. You know, like I said, I keep scrolling for my phone. A couple days ago, I doom scrolled for 2 hours. So again, it's not completely your fault. These companies have us, you know, hooked. But I hope this video helped, at least help you understand your phone addiction a bit more. And let me know how addicted you are to your phone in the comments. I'm curious to know. But apart from that, adios, my friend.